Mrs. Simpson, this is your life.
Yeah, look at me, lovely. Give me a bit more. That's it. Your skit towards back. I'm
Miss Simpson, born in Christchurch, to Helen and Lester Scott. From Malcolm Ave to Kits and Terence, she didn't move a lot. Adrienne Simpson is our principal of our school of Big Park. Here is Adrienne Simpson and how her life and education would start. As a Year 5 student at Cashmere Primary School, a first-year teacher, Kathleen Lewis, she remembers was pretty cool, who inspired her class with pioneering techniques. She was the teacher who would inspire Miss Simpson heaps. Math was the subject that Miss Simpson did most well, and her teacher, Miss Lewis, would help her excel. This teacher was critical in Adrienne's education. You might say she helped her choose her vocation. She was a student in schools where safety wasn't a big deal. On buses with holes in the floor, sheer survival was real. You'll learn Miss Simpson has spent her life in school. They say at Woodend, learning's for life, and that's a rule.
Girls High she attended and got in professional classes. She got good reports and in all the subjects she got passes. But there was one subject that she tried to avoid. It was Latin, that dead language, which got her most annoyed. Being real honest, Mrs. Simpson didn't enjoy sport. At all costs, she really tried to avoid the netball court. It was swimming that she turned out to be crazy good. She got a bunch of medals, life-saving, it was understood. She decided teacher college would be where she would study, as much as her father would have preferred university. In library and in youth group, she would spend a lot of time. She would stick to the books. Through the ranks, she would climb. No, in this story, there was one man that plays a big part, a man who spent his evenings moonlighting as a pool shark. This man liked two girls, and what were their names? What a surprise, when they turned out to be one of the same. Adrienne has seen him in youth group and class, exchange a few words and snuck the old glance. Peter Simpson and Adrienne Scott would start to date, a match that has stood true and lasted. It's great. A champion of the pool room, but sadly not in class. Adrienne would help him. Together they would pass. Now as teachers, education they couldn't disparage, so Peter and Adrienne would be wed in marriage.
In their first year of teaching, they were placed apart. Not yet married, would this hinder their start? They pleaded and pleaded to be placed together. On the west coast, they taught in the dodgy wet weather. It's 1978, she taught for 2 years. Adrienne applied for new jobs and she packed her gear. Oamaru for a year and Waitaki a tiny school. Only 16 kids were there. Man, wouldn't that be cool? With Peter she travelled the length of the island. The west coast, the south, it wasn't her style. The school she did teach in, I'm sure were all great, but a small place in Canterbury would ultimately await.
Peter and Adrienne moved to Canterbury and Springdon, teaching Ashgrove and Templeton. With travelling, they became laden. Their children, Leah and Rebecca, would join them at school. Even at 3, they had their own desk and stool. When the kids were both older and the 80s had passed, there was an ad for a position as a teacher in class. She'd be sharing a classroom with a woman named Jane Fong. They met up and decided they could get along. And to Woodend she came, and into a school, in a job share a 3-4 classroom did rule. Many colleagues she made, many children she got. Literacy, maths, science, and art the law. It wasn't too long that she would have to wait to lead the 3-4, 5-6, and 7-8. You can't put a number on the children she's met. An impression on many she's made, we will bet. Deputy principal was calling, and the call she did take. Leaving the classroom, she would have to take a break. Leaving the chalkboard would be real tough, but leading the teachers would be challenging enough. With the school getting bigger and the arrival of Tipo, there was a bigger job just after they cut the bow. Our principal she became, and a good one she was, fair, wise, consistent, and not too grumpy and just.
Mrs. Simpson. She has led our school well. From the students and we all have stories we could tell. We will miss her most dearly, and we know she must go. Our gratitude and appreciation, we must let her know.
Adrienne, I'll really miss our robust discussions.
I will miss our therapy sessions.
I'll miss your kindness when my eyes leak.
I'll miss your motherly advice.
I'll miss your calming words of wisdom.
And could we raise baby Simpson up and give her a clap?
Oh,